There are moments in life when the winds rise without warning, when everything you've built begins to shake, and the light you trusted seems swallowed by clouds of confusion. You cry out, wondering why the storm has come. You think perhaps it came to destroy you, to tear down all that you are. But what if the storm was never meant to break you? What if it came to reveal you? Because storms have a purpose. They strip away the masks, they tear down the walls, and they expose the foundation beneath. The calm never tells you you are. The storm does. It is in the chaos that truth is uncovered. It is in the shaking that strength is proven. You see, when the winds raged and the waves crashed, what stood firm was not what the world built around you, but what heaven placed within you. The storm didn't create your faith. It revealed it. It didn't give you courage. It brought it to the surface. It showed you what was hidden, what was buried deep inside, waiting to rise when everything else fell away. So, when you look back on the storm that should have broken you but didn't understand this, it wasn't there to end you. It was there to show you who you've always been. Stronger than fear, deeper than pain, unshakable when everything else moves. The storm didn't break you. It unveiled the truth of who you really are. There are moments in every life when the winds rise without mercy, when everything you thought was stable begins to tremble beneath your feet. You can almost hear the heavens groan, the earth shift, and the air itself seem to tighten around you. You look around and realize that everything familiar, the comfort, the order, the calm, has suddenly turned into chaos. And in that chaos, you begin to ask the question every soul has whispered in the storm, why? Why is this happening to me? Why now? Why like this? It feels as if the storm has come to destroy everything you've worked for, everything you've prayed for, everything you thought you were. But in truth, the storm is not the destroyer, it is the revealer. Because what the storm touches, it tests. It shakes the foundations not to punish you, but to show you what's really there. When the sky darkens and the ground knock on your door, not to destroy it, but to prove what kind of foundation you built it on. If it falls, it wasn't built on truth. If it stands, you'll know that what holds you isn't the strength of your walls, but the depth of your roots. The storm is not your enemy, it's your mirror. It reflects back the unseen parts of you, the faith that doesn't need evidence, the strength that doesn't need reassurance, the peace that surpasses understanding. When the winds rise, you begin to see what truly anchors you. You begin to recognize that what was shaken away was never meant to stay. The relationships that crumbled, the plans that failed, the doors that closed, they weren't losses, they were revelations. The storm exposed what could not last, so that only what is eternal would remain. There's something sacred about standing in the middle of a storm and realizing that though everything around you has shifted, something inside you remains unshaken. It's that still, quiet strength that whispers, "I will not be moved." The storm doesn't give you that strength. It reveals it. It doesn't teach you faith. It exposes the faith you already carried. Every gust of wind, every crash of thunder, every wave that threatened to drown you was really revealing the endurance of your spirit. And when the storm passes, you don't come out the same. You don't just walk away dry and untouched. You emerge drenched in wisdom, purified by trial, transformed by truth. You come out knowing who you are and what you're made of. You look back at the storm and realize it didn't take anything from you that you truly needed. It only took what was false, fragile, and temporary. It revealed the core of who you are, and that core, your true self, was unbreakable all along. There is a power in that revelation that changes how you see life forever. Once you've seen what the storm reveals, you stop fearing it. You begin to understand that storms are not curses but callings. They are divine interruptions meant to separate the real from the artificial, the eternal from the fleeting. You begin to thank the very wind that tried to tear you apart because it showed you what could never be torn. The storm may roar, it may rage, It may tear at your flesh and threaten to undo your plans, but it cannot destroy what's eternal in you. It cannot erase what heaven has written within you. It can only reveal it. And when the dust settles, when the sky clears, and the air turns still once again, you'll realize that the storm didn't break you. It introduced you to yourself. It showed you the strength that no calm could ever reveal, the faith that no peace could ever test, and the resilience that no comfort could ever uncover. So when the next storm rises, and it will, don't curse it, don't fear it. Stand in it, eyes open, heart steady, and know that this too is revelation. Because the storm is not your enemy. It is the hand that unmasks the truth. It comes not to destroy you, but to reveal who you really are. There comes a time in every journey when the winds shift, the skies darken, and the ground beneath you no longer feels certain. You may have walked in confidence for years, feeling sure of your strength, believing that your spirit was steady, your faith unshakable. But then, suddenly, life changes its tone. The calm that once surrounded you gives way to a storm, and everything you've depended on begins to tremble. You find yourself asking questions you never thought you'd ask. You begin to wonder if you've lost your way, if perhaps the storm means that something inside you has failed. But that's not what the storm is for. The storm doesn't come to expose your weakness. It comes to reveal your truth. Trials don't show you how fragile your soul is. They uncover the unbreakable part of you that has always been there, waiting for its moment to rise. When the winds rage and the waves crash, it's not your strength that's being tested, it's your spirit that's being unveiled. The storm doesn't ask you to be stronger, it simply removes the things that were never real, the illusions that made you believe your peace came from calm waters. The truth is, peace has never been the absence of trouble. It's the presence of something deeper that can't be shaken by trouble. When you're standing in the middle of a trial, when everything is stripped away, that's when the true nature of your spirit begins to shine. You see, it's easy to look brave when life is easy. It's easy to speak of faith when nothing threatens it. But when the storm comes, when everything familiar begins to slip through your fingers, that's when your spirit stands alone and shows its true shape. The trial doesn't define you. It reveals what was already inside you. You've been carrying strength that even you didn't know you had. You've been holding on to courage that only the storm could bring to light. The pressure you feel, the weight of it all, isn't crushing you, it's pressing the oil from the olive, drawing out the purest part of who you are. It's in the breaking that beauty begins to rise. The storm doesn't destroy, it refines. It burns away the false confidence, the fragile pride, the surface level peace, and it reveals the deep, immovable core of your soul. There's something sacred that happens when everything you leaned on collapses. You realize that your foundation was never what you built, it was what you believed. When the surface breaks, the spirit underneath begins to speak. It whispers, "You were made for this." The storm, in all its fury, cannot drown that voice. The deeper the darkness becomes, the louder that quiet strength begins to echo within you. The storm doesn't weaken your faith. It awakens it. It doesn't expose how small you are. It reveals how infinite your spirit is when it stands anchored in something eternal. And yet, when the storm begins, our first instinct is to run, to hide, to beg for calm. We cry out, "Why is this happening to me?" We think the shaking is punishment, that the struggle is proof of our failure. But the truth is, the storm isn't against you, it's for you. It's pulling you closer to your true self, closer to the heart of what you were created to be. The trial doesn't come to humiliate you, it comes to illuminate you. It tears away what's temporary so that the eternal can stand visible. The fear you feel in the beginning of the storm isn't the end of you, it's the beginning of revelation. It's the moment the false strength begins to fall away so that your true strength can finally stand. Every soul that's ever carried greatness has walked through a storm, Every heart that's ever known real faith has first faced a moment of fear. You can't know the depth of your spirit if it's never been tested. You can't see the light that lives inside you if it's never had to shine against darkness. The storm is the mirror that reveals your reflection as heaven sees it, not as the world defined you, not as your fear tried to label you, but as truth has always known you to be. Trials don't make you smaller. They reveal how vast your soul truly is, your purpose, what's been holding you back in disguise. It shows you the difference between what you thought was your identity and what truly is. And when you stand in the middle of it all, with tears streaming down your face, feeling the sting of loss, the weight of uncertainty, the ache of endurance, you may not realize it, but that's the moment your spirit begins to glow. The fire doesn't consume you, it refines you. The pressure doesn't destroy you, it purifies you. The storm doesn't break your soul, it reveals its divine design. It shows that the same power that calms the seas lives inside of you. The same voice that commands the winds to be still is the voice that speaks peace to your heart in the chaos. So when the storm rises and everything inside you trembles, remember this: the trial is not exposing your weakness, it's uncovering your truth. The storm doesn't prove how fragile your soul is, it reveals how eternal your spirit is. You are not being undone, you are being unveiled. And when the winds pass and the sun returns, you will see what the storm already knew, that nothing could ever truly break you. Because the spirit within you was never built to fall. It was born to stand. There comes a moment in life when everything you once thought you could control begins to slip through your fingers. The walls you built start to crack, the plans you made begin to crumble, and the things that once made you feel safe suddenly seem powerless against the storm that surrounds you. It's in that moment you start to realize something deeper, that what breaks others doesn't always have to break you. Because when your roots are anchored in something greater, when your faith runs deeper than your fear, the storm that destroys others can be the very storm that strengthens you. The truth is, anyone can stand tall in the sunshine. Anyone can smile when the skies are clear and the winds are calm. But the measure of your spirit isn't revealed in peaceful moments. It's revealed in the storm. That's where the real you emerges, the part of you that's not built on surface strength or fleeting emotion, but on something eternal. The storm may shake you, it may test you, it may push you to your limits, but it cannot uproot what's been planted deep in the soil of divine purpose. What's rooted in the unseen cannot be shaken by what's seen. You see, what breaks others isn't the storm itself, it's where their roots are. Some are rooted in success, in comfort, in reputation, in things that the storm can touch. And when those things are swept away, so are they. But those whose roots go deeper, those whose strength is drawn from something higher than circumstance, those are the ones who remain standing when everything else falls. The storm exposes what your roots are holding onto. It reveals whether you were grounded in what's temporary or anchored in what's eternal. When the winds come, when the earth trembles, when everything around you begins to change, you will feel the pressure of the storm. You will feel the weight of its fury. But if your roots are deep, you won't break. You'll bend. You'll move with the wind, but you won't be uprooted by it. That's the secret of those who endure. They are flexible in form, but unshakable in foundation. They've learned that survival isn't about standing rigid against the storm, it's about being anchored deeply enough to withstand it. The storm can strip the branches, it can scatter the leaves, but it cannot touch the roots that are hidden beneath the surface. There's a strength that only comes through the shaking. Without the storm, you'd never know how deep your roots really go. You'd never discover the resilience that's been buried as truth. And truth, once revealed, cannot be shaken again. There will be people who will look at your life and wonder how you survived what others could not. They will see the storm that came to destroy you, and be amazed that you're still standing. But what they won't see are the roots that held you steady when everything above ground was falling apart. They won't see the prayers whispered in darkness, the tears that watered the soil of your faith, the quiet moments when you chose to trust even when you couldn't see the outcome. What breaks others didn't break you, because your roots were never in what could be seen. They were in what could never be taken. So when the winds come again, when the waves rise and the thunder roars, remember what you've already learned. Storms don't destroy what's rooted in eternity. They only reveal it. They show the world that strength isn't in appearance. It's in depth. It's in what no one sees, in what's buried beneath, in the foundation that can't be shaken. The storm doesn't define you by what it takes away. It defines you by what it leaves standing. And when all is said and done, when the storm passes and the air grows still, you'll look around and realize that what others lost, you still have, because you weren't standing by your own power. You were standing by the strength of something far greater. The storm may have shaken your branches, but your roots held firm. And that's why what breaks others built you. There comes a time when everything you once trusted begins to fall away, when the things you thought were solid start to crumble, and the illusions you clung to begin to fade in the light of truth. At first, it feels like loss. It feels like the world is being torn apart, like the storm has come to destroy everything that mattered. But the truth is, not everything that falls apart is meant to be mourned. Sometimes the shaking isn't punishment. It's revelation. Every storm removes illusions. It strips away the false layers, the masks, the fragile structures built on temporary ground, and it leaves behind only what is eternal. We live much of our lives surrounded by things that look strong but aren't. We build our confidence on success, our identity on approval, our peace on comfort. But those things are fragile. They can be taken, shaken, changed in an instant. And when the storm comes, when the winds rise and the rain pours, those false securities begin to fall. It's painful to watch them go, because for so long they looked real, they felt stable, they seemed true. Yet the storm has no mercy for illusion. It reveals what can stand and what cannot. It exposes the difference between what is built on rock and what's built on sand. When everything around you starts collapsing, it's easy to think the storm has come to destroy you. You see things slipping away, relationships, opportunities, plans, and you begin to cry out, why is this happening to me? But what if it isn't happening to you? What if it's happening for you? What if the storm is heaven's way of removing what was false so you can see what's true? Because sometimes we are so surrounded by imitation that we forget what's real. The calm, the comfort, the routine, it all makes us believe we're standing on something strong. But it's the shaking that tells us the truth. There's something strangely sacred about watching illusions fall. It hurts, yes. It feels like loss, yes. But if you look closer, it's not destruction, it's purification. The storm is revealing what was never meant to carry your weight. It's exposing the shallow roots of things that look deep, the fragile peace that looked lasting, the temporary hope that looked eternal. And when those things fall away, you find yourself face to face with what cannot be shaken. You find that beneath the noise and the rubble, something remains, something pure, something unbreakable. In the stillness after the storm, you begin to see what truly matters. The things you lost were never really yours to begin with. They were shadows, reflections, illusions, meant to teach you the difference between the temporal and the eternal. The storm removes what is false, not to leave you empty, but to leave you authentic. It reveals the foundation of your life, what your heart truly believes, what your faith is built upon, what your soul is anchored to. And when you finally see it, when all the false things have been stripped away, you realize that what remains is stronger than anything that was lost. Sometimes we ask God to bless us with peace, and instead He sends a storm. We ask for clarity, and he shakes everything until only truth remains. Because the illusion of peace is not peace. The illusion of strength is not strength. The illusion of faith is not faith. The storm is heaven's way of separating appearance from reality. It takes away the decorations so that you can finally see the structure. It breaks the shell so that the heart can be revealed. The things that fall away in the storm are never the things that were eternal. They're the things that we're pretending to be. The storm is not your enemy, it is your mirror. It shows you what was never real. It forces you to face the truth that maybe what you thought was holding you together was only a temporary support, and the real strength was buried deeper inside. It tears down what was built on fear so that something truer can rise in its place. You begin to see that the shaking was mercy, that the loss was actually grace. Because if the illusion had never fallen, you might have kept trusting in something that could never save you. When you walk through the wreckage of what used to be, you'll start to see something remarkable. Beneath the broken pieces, there's a quiet beauty, the beauty of what endured. The things that survived the storm are the things that were real all along, the faith that didn't waver, the love that didn't die, the hope that refused to fade. Those are eternal things. They cannot be taken, they cannot be destroyed, they cannot be shaken. They're the foundation stones of who you are, the evidence of something divine within you. And when you see that, when you realize what the storm has revealed, something changes in you. You stop fearing the next storm because you understand that storms don't come to take, they come to expose. They don't come to ruin you, they come to refine you. They don't come to break you. They come to free you from what was never true. Every illusion that falls makes room for something real to rise. Every shaking makes space for something eternal to take root. So when the wind howls and the rain pours and the ground shakes beneath your feet, don't cling to what's falling. Let it go. Let the storm do its work. Because it's not coming to destroy you, it's coming to remove what was never meant to stay. The storm is heaven's scalpel, cutting away the false, exposing the truth, and revealing what is eternal. And when the sky's clear and the light returns, you'll see it clearly. The things that were never shaken were the things that were always real. Everything else, you were meant to emerge from it transformed, because storms don't just come and go. They come to shift you, to strip you, to awaken what was dormant inside you. When the storm first comes, it feels like chaos. It feels like punishment, like a divine interruption you didn't ask for. You cry out, wondering why your prayers weren't enough to stop the wind, why your faith didn't keep the waves from rising. But in time, you begin to see that the storm was never sent to destroy you. It was sent to deliver you from what you didn't even realize was holding you captive. There are things in your life that can only be broken by wind and rain. There are layers of yourself that can only be revealed through shaking. The storm doesn't come to erase your story, it comes to write a new chapter. We spend so much of our lives trying to avoid the storm, praying for calm, begging for comfort. But comfort never changed anyone. Peace without purpose becomes stagnation. Growth doesn't happen under sunny skies. It happens in the dark, in the wet soil after the rain. The roots that go deep are the ones that have known the storm. You were never created to live a life free from challenge. You were created to overcome it, to be refined by it, to rise above it with a strength that only comes from surviving it. Every storm you've faced has carried a lesson, a hidden gift, a piece of transformation you could not have found in peace. The storm exposes what's weak, but it also strengthens what's true. It takes what's ordinary and turns it into something unshakable. It transforms faith from something you speak into something you are. When you've walked through darkness and still found light, when you've faced loss and still chosen hope, when you've been broken and still kept going, that's when the storm has done its work. That's when transformation begins to show. You see, storms don't just test your strength, they introduce you to it. They show you that you are far more resilient than you ever imagined. You may walk into a storm trembling, but you walk out of it wiser, deeper, more aware of the divine within you. The person who enters a storm is never the same as the one who leaves it. Something shifts. Something awakens. The storm becomes a doorway between who you were and who you're becoming. You begin to understand that the shaking wasn't meant to destroy your foundation. It was meant to reveal the strength of it. There's a sacred power in transformation that only pain can produce. You can read about strength, talk about faith, dream about endurance. But until the storm comes, those things remain just words. It's the rain that makes the roots grow, the wind that makes the tree stronger, the fire that makes the gold pure. You cannot become who you are meant to be without what felt like loss was actually rebirth. What felt like the end was just the beginning of something new. And though you may carry scars from what you've endured, those scars are not signs of weakness. They are marks of survival. They are proof that you were tested and you endured. They remind you that pain has a purpose, that suffering can birth strength, that storms don't just end, they evolve you. Each one leaves behind a version of you that's more honest, more grounded, more in tune with truth. You were never meant to escape the storm because the storm was never against you. It was part of your becoming. The same wind that tried to knock you down was the wind that carried away what you didn't need. The same rain that soaked you in sorrow was the rain that nourished your roots. The same thunder that frightened you was the sound of heaven rearranging your path. You didn't go through the storm to prove your strength. You went through it to discover it. So now, when you feel the wind rising again, when you see the dark clouds gathering on the horizon, you no longer have to fear. You know the storm doesn't come to take from you. It comes to bring you closer to who you really are. It comes to awaken the fire inside you, to draw out the depth of your faith, to remind you that transformation doesn't happen in comfort. It happens in surrender. Because you were never meant to live untouched by storms. You were meant to walk through them and come out radiant, renewed, reborn. You were meant to stand in the aftermath, not broken, but transformed more than what you were before. Every storm leaves you stronger. Every shaking makes you surer. Every loss clears space for something greater. The storm didn't end you. It shaped you. It revealed that you were never fragile. Never forgotten, never forsaken. You were meant to rise.